Hey, we're live and we're back. I'm right here with Lee Goldberg from Griddle Champions on the Pancake Art Show on Idle Champions. So, Lee, it's awesome to have you here. I had a great conversation with you briefly earlier this week to get everything squared away to get you here. Just to confirm, where in the world are you right now?
Phoenix,
Phoenix.
Arizona.
Okay, so not far from Avernus. Yeah.
Neighbors.
Absolutely. So just walk me through. You got started in pancake art, and but that wasn't where you started everything. Wait a minute. First, let's kind of go back to the beginning. Where'd you grow up? Was it Phoenix?
No, I grew up in Philadelphia,
In Philly. Okay.
but I mean, it's one of those questions that's so hard. It's like, where did you grow up? I grew up out here. I mean, from 10 to 22, and then I moved, and then I came back. So I grew up here, but I was born in Philly. Most of my family's either in Philly, Jersey, or New York.
Okay, so you're an East Coaster at heart. That's well from the beginning, but now you're in Arizona.
Yeah,
And
I fought really hard not to say wooder.
So what brought you out to Arizona and how long ago was that?
Um, I was 10, and just my mom, my brother, and I, we were living in California with her husband at the time, and they separated, and she loved the Southwest, and we were very supportive of her and of just, you know, embracing life and things like that. And it wasn't like we had anything. We're 10 and 14, almost 10 and 14. We didn't have any roots. So we
You didn't
moved
really
out
have a
here.
choice at 10 and 14 either. Like if she
Right.
says, "Hey,
I
we're moving
wasn't
here,"
like,
you kind of got to go with her. Yeah.
mother, I'm gonna put my foot down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no. But
Um,
I actually like it out here a lot. I don't have to shovel snow ever. So that's
were
pretty
you
nice.
were you yeah, you don't really. Were you always a gamer?
No, I mean video games for sure. I think I was always a gamer at heart. I just didn't know what that meant. My brother and I played Magic the Gathering, and it was one of those things where he was really into it, and to hang out with my big brother, who I was, I had the hero worship of, I, acquiesced. I got the cards as well, and we would play, and he would win because he cared more, and I didn't as much. And so I kind of, I didn't have that community around it. And yeah, I didn't play my first game of any TTRPG until I was 30
Oh, really? 30.
last week. I'm just
Last
kidding.
week.
No, I'm just kidding. No,
You're so youthful.
I know,
Um,
right?
well, that's the interesting part is you didn't start till last week. No. And then you you just started, and how long ago was it you actually started TTRPGs? Like how long have you been playing now?
Well, 6 years
6
now.
years. Okay.
Look,
Okay.
let's be honest. 6.5 years, almost
Six and a half
7.
years. Almost
Well,
7. Oh,
I'm getting
it's like
old.
that guy who's like, I'm almost 18. I'm almost 18. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So my first real introduction was sort of adjacent to it, I guess, because I listened to Brian Posehn's Nerd Poker when it was originally on,
Oh yeah.
and that was more. I don't know how I stumbled upon it in the first place, but it was more of a, Brian Posehn is hilarious, and these are nerds like me. They're playing D&D, but aside from that, they're telling this awesome story, and they're really funny, and they're not taking things too seriously. And at the time, I was in a really bad place, mentally, physically, all of that. I actually struggled with addiction really badly for probably from like 19 to 6 years ago, like a week and a half before I turned 30.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, it was bad, but it's one of those things where I wouldn't take any of it back, because as bad as that was, and as horrible as, like, I didn't really feel like I existed on paper, because I didn't have a lease, a car, and anything. I was couch surfing and just working restaurant jobs, trying to hide, who I really am, and just use the money I make that night to stay well for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't have met my fiance. I wouldn't have a beautiful son who it just turned 19 months. There's no way I would be a pancake artist. You gotta, I don't know, maybe you gotta be weird and messed up for that anyway. I don't know. But, I can't take things in my life back. So I need to be grateful for where I am now because of it. But
very forward,
yeah.
Very positive. I like that. Do you?
If not, I'd lose it. No.
Yeah.
No, it's really helpful. And so this podcast helped me kind of like hang on to that little bit of sanity I felt, like I needed to shut the world out. So I got very contained and would listen to podcasts and things like that. And then fast forwarding a few years, I just finally it was one of those things where I realized, because I was almost turning 30, I realized that I'm going to turn 30 because that's around the corner, but there's no way I'll make it to 40. And I had resigned to that fact. And just looking back, that's such a horrible thing to be like, oh, well. So I went into treatment for my struggles. And I put my head down and I did the things that I needed to do to, get clean and to realize that my image of myself was not who I really was. Mm-hmm. And so I did everything I could to do things right. And I'd been cooking for just so many years, not professionally, but as a hobby. My dad, there's pictures of me at 4 stirring pasta sauce with my dad. And so, I came into the kitchen and was just like, hey, do you guys ever need help prepping? And my knife skills were already good. So I didn't have to train. I didn't have to do all that stuff. I just was like, you need 3 gallons of onions? Got it. So they hired me on to be a cook, and I was doing brunches and things like that. And residents would order sunny side up eggs sometimes. And to me, those look like eyeballs. So I'd give them faces out of hash brown, sausage, bacon, and just kind of something to do with the boredom, keep my hands busy. And I had
you'd make them faces
when it was slow enough.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah. It was,
that keeps it creative, keeps people happy. It adds a little spark of joy in an otherwise, rough situation for a lot of folks. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. Because I actually ended up cooking, where I got clean. So we've got these people that, they're in there for their first 30, 60, 90 days. And, some are looking out the door like they want to leave. And here's someone who went through their program and was just like happy to live life and to be there and to cook them food. Because that's one of the things is when I cook, there are rooms, there's 4 people to a room, there's classes, meetings, all these kind of things that feel very much like, oh, I'm in rehab. And the last thing I want someone to do when they walk away from something I've cooked them is to think, oh, well, that was pretty good for rehab food. I want them to know, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with who you are. You deserve what anyone else deserves. So I cook my heart out and have fun. And one of my really good friends said, I got to tell you, the first time I ever met you in line, I effing hated you. And I was like, cool, bro, thanks. And he's like, no, it was because I didn't know or understand how someone could be sober and that happy. And I was like, well, stick around. It's like, stick around, bud. And we became really close friends, bonded over comic books. And then just one day I had a resident say, hey, have you ever heard of pancake art? And that's I hadn't, awesome. So I looked it up.
That's awesome. Yeah. Pancake art's where it's at, man. Really is.
Who knew?
Yeah, and you're kind of like not just any pancake artist. You're now like a famous pancake artist. And I mean, until I met you, I'd never heard of pancake art. But you are the one who brought pancake art to the forefront for me personally.
Yeah, I am definitely the TTRPG realm's first interaction to it often. But I'm actually an artist for Pancakes.
Hmm.
And I believe my manager, Hank, is in chat.
Oh, hey Hank, if
And
you're there, say hi. We'd
job
love.
security, he's become my best friend. So that's helpful. But I mean, they're so amazing. And they're a St. Louis based company. We
Hmm.
even have a griddle that we designed to be, used for pancake. I mean, you could use it for whatever, but the heating is specifically to get even cooking through your pancakes. And so we have our own griddle, and I'm a picture of me as in our book. So this ugly mug
That's awesome.
will help you
You're
learn.
immortalized. The
Yeah,
the thing is though, like, how did you figure out, like, when did you pick up pancake art? Like, that was in
it was
the
as if when I was cooking for
yeah.
the treatment center, it was seriously someone just saying, "Have you heard of it?" And I hadn't, but I was doing a brunch. I had a ton of pancake batter left over, so I looked it up online and I grabbed a coffee filter and just put some batter in it. Used my flat top and I poked a hole in the filter and used it like a piping bag. And it was not good at all, but it was a lot of fun, so I
That
stuck with it.
is genius. Hey, we have a question from the
Uh-oh.
crowd, which we know is loaded. How cool is your best friend Sean?
My forever best friend Sean,
Yeah.
he's the reason I have a show still.
Okay.
I want to make a mean joke. I want to be cute, but he's he's super great. Everyone at CNE Games is awesome. Eric reached out to me. We had met at a D&D function a few years prior, and he's just a really great supportive person. Another one of those job security. He loves our show. So as long as he loves our show and you like our show, we will keep doing it. And he offered me, he said, "Hey, we're going to give you 10 episodes. You'll make pancakes of our content, or the D&D licensed games." So I mean, I got to make Dritz. I got to make. Just recently, I think I made a Kraken, and it was super fun and a really cool idea. But I was like, no one wants to sit and watch me just make pancake art for 2 hours. So I was like, cool. I get 10 episodes, a paycheck, and an apology to them for if I wasted their time. But then I was introduced to Sean, who is my co-host, who works for CNE Games and actually does their trouble tickets.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so he knows the things and he can answer questions about like, hey, I'm having an issue. And so, you know, we didn't. I was wondering, we were supposed to get one of like trial episodes, like, hey, we're gonna do an episode, see how it runs, or anything like that. But it was just here's 10 minutes for you guys to meet while we talk about the show. Your first episode is on Friday, and and I'll tell you, I mean, I'm an extrovert to my core, but
Yeah.
the chemistry that he and I have as like real good friends was so instantaneous that it was like, okay, this show has legs. Because, one of the awesome things is we're pancake art. If you take pancake art too seriously, you're missing the point. Our company motto at Dancakes is mistakes are delicious. You make a mistake, you still have a wonderful pancake. So
Yeah.
can't
I
be that
mean,
bad.
maple syrup can fix anything almost. I mean, like, that's the great thing about pancake art, right?
Yeah.
Except
So
your pancake art is off the charts. Like, it's like, when you think about it, like, you could literally take a photograph like someone's got on their phone and they show it to you. You could do that.
yeah, I mean, when we do events live, and boy, when it's possible to, I hope to do a lot more. I
Mhm.
mean, we've traveled all over. Like some Dane cakes, they've been to like Singapore, Brazil. I mean, we've traveled. We've worked with Disney a couple of times. Done some really fun things. But yeah, I mean, I don't just go, hey, I'm gonna do some D&D pancakes. I just, hey, if you got a picture on your phone, or I can look it up on Google or whatever,
Mhm.
I can make it.
Now,
And
how long did it take you to learn how to do this? I mean, like what was your first pancake?
my,
Was it like my first
it was
drawing
just
of a stick figure and a really bad stick figure dog and all that other stuff? Or what was it? What was it like for
probably
you?
worse. Probably worse. No, I mean it was just getting a feel for drawing with it, because I didn't have multiple colors, I didn't have anything like that. But the thing is, I mean, it's just like drawing, right? Drawing in itself is not hard. Anyone can do it. Drawing well takes practice, takes time, takes effort, and that's all it is I practice, practice, practice. Like I remember Dan cakes at the time. I was like buying my own griddle, my tubes, the equipment to do it better than I had been. They had come out with like an Age of Ultron. They made a video of doing all the characters, and so I'm making this like crude bumblebee that isn't burnt, and just a bumblebee, not the transformer, which I have done also. But I was doing that kind of thing, and posting it on Facebook, and all my friends are like, hey, can you do this? And then the Dan cakes thing would show up, and I had not yet known them or talked to them at all. So I was just like, cool, no, never will I be able to do that. And it's just really funny to look back and how I've grown, and shoot, how Dan has grown as an artist, and just look at those and just kind of want to call Dan and just be like, all right, man, here's where you messed up on those pancakes. But yeah, I mean, it's practice. Everything is practice. And
Yeah.
I used to do really bad things to myself and in life when I had quiet brain time. So I found something that could occupy that to an extent where I was energized and happy and brought joy to others. So I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer to just keep pushing and pushing. And then I reached out on Instagram to anyone that was doing it because I just wanted pointers for this hobby. And the company that did traveling events, that did all this really cool content, they're the ones that were like, hey man, looked at your stuff, you got a lot of promise. And I was like, okay, wow. And we talked, and as they grew and as my talents grew, they brought me on as a as like an apprentice artist. And I went to Anime St. Louis was the first event I ever worked. And it was like a table next to Dan, because it wasn't like, here's our new artist, go get him, kid. Because
a lot of pressure.
Well, it's also just a matter of the way I did my batter to the way they did it was different. I had mine thicker because I had control issues, because it's a liquid, so if you've got a squeeze tube that's upside down, the easiest way for it
fast if you don't have it. Yeah.
Easiest way to do that is to make it so it physically couldn't.
Yeah.
So my line work was nowhere near where it needed to be and things like that. So I had to adjust to their style. And I remember, one of the things that I'm pretty good at is if I don't like something I'm making and I know it's not going to be what I want it to be, I can at least put on the face and attitude of like, yep, here's your pancake. Like not just sit there like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever done. But on that first event, this one little girl comes up, and they're pretty honest.
Yeah, kids are really good about that.
They're brutal with it sometimes. And every time I would turn my squeeze tube to draw, it would start to leak out the tip. And I just kept doing it, wiping it off, wiping it off. The first time I made it where I started drawing before it started to just ooze out, I just went with it. I just kept going, and it was supposed to be an Ariel, and Disney princess faces for me still are hard because there's just so many like soft lines that go into sharp lines, like all that kind of stuff. So it was, it was finished and cooking, and I'm just sitting at it, pouring sweat just because of anxiety. And I know that once I flip this, I'm just going to feel so foolish. And most of the times when you make a mistake, people are still really grateful or realize like, hey, I couldn't do it. So that's really neat. This lady like looks, this little girl looks at it and looks at her dad. It's like, no. And the dad's like, say thank you. And she's like,
No.
no. I was like, cool. How many more hours of this do we have? But I just kept working, and I really, at the time, I needed to practice my face work a lot because, you know, a lot of times you get a reference material, and it's like, okay, just got to try to make this cartoon character look like this make it look like the image.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing someone's face, I mean, that's where you have to decide the shading. And it's a lot less about like, I'm going to try to put everything I see in your face into this pancake. It's actually almost the reverse. It's like, what can I leave out so that it doesn't look like a melted G.I. Joe when I flip it? Because the mind wants things to work, right? So
right.
if you draw someone's face and you just put like a subtle line here, just a little blob of pancake like that, when you flip it, it can actually look like this really good jaw or a cheekbone. So it's kind of the psychology of making someone's face. So I needed to practice, and Nerd Poker had come back as a podcast, and it was now DM'd by Dan Telfer, another super funny comedian. And I made pancakes of all their faces as like practice. So looking back on it now, it's one of those things where I can point out every single thing that I, you know, artists critiquing themselves kind of thing.
Is that how they discovered you?
I posted it on Instagram and Twitter, and I tagged. I was learning how to use those things because I want people to see my work. Yeah. Still not great at it, but
I don't think any of us are going to ever be great at it. They keep changing it every time we start to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get Miles to mess around with it so that he can start doing my social media next week. Like, buddy, you gotta just stop sending random streams of letters. But yeah, so I did that, and they were recording a like a Patreon episode, and they had Joe Manganiello as a guest. And so at one point they're saying something like, okay, guys, we got to show them our poker face. It's like, yeah, our nerd poker face. And then the hero of my life, and really the reason why I have a D&D pancake art show, is Ken Daly saying, as depicted in pancakes. And they're like, what is it as depicted in pancakes? And they're like, oh yeah, this guy on Instagram made all of our faces as pancakes. So they stopped this D&D episode for like 30
with Joe Manganiello sitting there.
Yeah, and they're on my Instagram looking at all of my pancakes that I had on there, and there's nothing that a pancake artist loves hearing more, especially on a recorded podcast, as wait, that's a pancake? So that happened, and I get a DM, and he's like, have you seen Foursquare? Have you seen Critical Role, Acquisitions Incorporated? Like, have you watched these things? And I was like, no, I just know Nerd Poker. Like, you got to. And I mean, when Alcide tells you to watch all these shows, you don't say like, no, I think I'm good, thanks. So I did. I jumped in, and I mean, 80% of my awake hours, I had a Critical Role episode on in my ear, because at my day job when I'm cooking, it's muscle memory, so I'm able to listen and still focus. And so I just got really into it, and I would make fan art out of pancakes. And then the monster, like, my favorite things to make are either grotesque, horrific monsters or adorable little familiars or things like that. Like those are the most fun. The ones that are super adorable or super rad and gnarly. Like the Kraken I did is one of my, it's up there.
Have you done a beholder yet? I think you have.
I have done so many beholders. I do have a running joke because of how many I have. When we were at Stream of Many Eyes, a good friend of mine, Shad, he does amazing dungeons and terrain stuff. He's amazing. And he had asked for something, but we were right at the end of our day, and I had to cut it off there. So his running joke is that I can't make a beholder. Like, I don't know how. So he'll be like, yeah, but can you make a beholder? And I'll like reply like, nah, man, post a picture of a beholder I've done. Next one. I just don't know if I could make it beholder. I just did a beholder. I did a pirate beholder on Friday's episode of Griddle Champions.
Oh, you did? You did.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. And some people have mentioned that they love seeing Lee, not just an arm. However, for those of you who know Lee only by his arm, to prove this really is the same Lee, could you do a demo? There it is. There it is, there folks. There's the arm.
The tattoo.
The tattoo. Right,
I'll
that everyone sees.
I'm so sorry to my pancakes. The rest of the interview will be just this.
No. Please don't do that to me.
Hello? No, that's me. I exist as a person.
So we do have another question, though. What is your favorite familiar, and why is it the snowy owlbear?
Boy, do I
Thanks,
feel like
Robo Goblin 01.
Yeah. I knew who asked it.
Yeah.
Currently, it's probably the pink fuzzy beholder I did. It's really cute. Spoiler alert. That answer is probably going to change after this week. I can't say any more than that, but the pink adorable beholder I did is my current favorite. Ask me again a week from last Friday, and it will definitely change. I'm excited for a pancake I'll be making.
Of all the pancakes you've made so far, the artwork wise, I mean, obviously the delicious pancakes that you eat are some of your top favorites, but of all the pancake art you've made so far, what has been like, it doesn't have to be, TTRPG related, but what's the one that you've gotten the most satisfaction from? The one that you went, yeah, that's really some great work.
There's kind of two answers to that. Okay. The first one's a little easier. I was doing a brunch that I do, and my folks were in town from New Jersey, and I did a pancake of my dad's face that, maybe just because I've known him for so many years, is like a perfect rendition of my dad's face. So I got to show him my art and flip his face over, and it not just be like, hey, that's a really good guy. I mean, it looks a little like your dad. I mean, it is my dad. So that is the validation answer, kind of. But the answer that I have is not only provable through videotape. When I was in town in St. Louis for an event, or we were doing an event there, I got the chance to record in our studio, which has multiple camera angles, and we have just a really cool studio. And when the Ghosts of Saltmarsh alternate cover came out, I was watching Greg Tito's show, and he was like, so here's the art. And I was just like, I am going to make a pancake of that cover, which is so detailed and such a awesome piece of art that it was so ambitious. And sometimes I'm like, I want to make that. That's a thing I want to make, but I don't get to it because of just timing. But I had studio time, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make that pancake. And in St. Louis, we actually have the capabilities to preserve pancakes. So this pancake not only was my favorite pancake, this pancake is currently in Greg Tito's game room, forever preserved.
Frame.
And it is, yeah. If you go to dancakes.com, you can actually order framed preserved pancakes.
How do you preserve a pancake?
Wishy magic. There's you got to answer a few of the wizard's riddles.
You got to lacquer it. What do you do?
I think I don't make them. Hank does, but it's like freeze drying it, and then you make the frame and then pour a resin over it, and it frames beautifully, actually. And so I made a Sahuagin pancake that took me an hour and 45 minutes to draw.
That's intense.
I mixed 7 blues just for this one pancake.
How do you set your burners
temperature
on something like that? Yeah, I mean, because an hour and 45 minutes, a pancake doesn't usually normally sit on a griddle that long and do well.
Right.
At least not my limited pancake. I mean, like I'm nowhere near your quality of pancake culinary expertise, good sir.
Yeah.
So I can only tell you I've burned pancakes in far less time than an hour and 45 minutes.
And that's kind of part of why the Dane Cake's griddle is really cool, is the heating element evenly distributes heat, because that's a real issue when you're trying to cook something. But if I'm doing a live event where I've got to turn and burn and just like got to make a pancake in 5 minutes, go, here's yours, that kind of thing. There you have it between 200 and 250 degrees. But when you're doing something ambitious and long form, you'll either go really like just to warm or temperature off. And
So
then
you
sometimes
set everything in position and then you
and then you cook it afterwards. Like you cook it when it's finished, works. You can also, if you want the lines to stick a little bit, you can like temperature off and then turn it on a little bit so it just barely like sticks it. Then you turn it off. Yeah. Okay. But if you're at home trying it, temperature off. Just go temperature off, draw it, cover it, and then just turn the heat on then, and you'll know when it's ready to flip. It gets cooked pancake because it's thinner, so it's not, you're not having like a big pancake and wondering if it's cooked through.
I think that you blow the doors off of anything that I do in terms of my ability to do that. I think I'll leave that to the pancake cooking professionals. If you want to learn how to paint miniatures, we'll talk. But
well, here's the thing. Yeah. I think you'd be great at it, especially because of your miniature painting. You probably have a slightly steadier hand than most. I'm not going to talk about your hand steadiness. I just don't know. But you need a steady hand to paint a little. So get some squeeze tubes, get some color. Mistakes are delicious, so there's no competition. No one's going to judge you for it. But you said you have like, what, 5 kids?
I do. A
cartoon smiley face on a pancake is really fun, no matter how old you are. So I definitely wouldn't say leave it to the expert. Leave it to the experts for like, don't try to book yourself an event to be in front of a crowd of 50. But when you're with your family, or you're at home and you feel like drawing, but you don't feel like...
Yeah, but they're all kids, so they're going to tell me what they really think of Dad's pancakes. That's the part that horrifies me the most,
Yeah, well, then have them do it and then tell them what you think. Just be like, hey, I know you're 6 and all, but this line work is shoddy. What?
No. My kids can actually probably cook pancakes better than me, to be fair.
Perfect.
Do you find, so, because as I paint on a miniature, I work, from back to front, but you have to do that in reverse. If I look at it correctly, you're doing from front to back in terms of your color. Is that, and that's a completely different mindset for me. And it would be definitely a work in progress as I ruin pancake after pancake doing it backwards. Probably there's a lot of stuff I'd have to unlearn in terms of making that work.
I think that's true, but also the thing that's kind of helpful to think about is like whatever you put down first is going to stay. So if you put a straight line down, because that's going to, or a pupil or whatever, but if you put a straight line down and then you do a line across from it, you're going to have that break. So what it's going to be. You're not doing a lot of guesswork on basic shapes, like a 2D animation thing. When you're doing it, you'll kind of know whether you kind of hit it or didn't based on just your outlining, The real issue sometimes is the fact that it's backwards because you're flipping it. Most of the time it doesn't matter. If it's your face going like this, no one's going to say like, it's so wrong because it's doing this.
Yeah.
But if it's like a logo or... luckily, I get my images for Griddle Champions already flipped. Like the images flipped.
Oh, yeah. That's smart.
CNE Games looks out for our show. Because here's the thing. If I make a pancake of Jarlaxle, which so many people know, all about him, and I have his eye patch on the wrong side... internet, man. Some people are going to be upset about that. So it's helpful. I mean, there's like, I have like an image swap thing. So if I really need to, I once did Salvador Dali's Persistence of Memory, because I made the mistake. I wanted to do a pancake earlier days, and I made the mistake of asking a professional pancake artist, like, hey, I'm bored, what should I make? Where a lot of times someone will be like, oh, do Cat Dog, do Ren and Stimpy, do something fun. Yeah. He's like, do Salvador Dali's Persistence of Memory. And this is the guy who's going to be my boss. So I'm like, okay. And
never ask him what to do next.
It's on my Instagram. Yeah. And it's dope. So,
well, I guess he pushed you to find something harder and harder to do. Does Dan have a art background by chance? Is that why he did that? Or is he just like to challenge
himself? He's a really good, we have minus some of the drug stuff. We have similar backgrounds in cooking first. Now he's a musician and a phenomenal artist for sure, but he came into it as a short order cook at a diner, and he used one of those drip cuts, the containers that you put the batter in, and you just kind of put the thing that, a lot of times syrup is in them. And he drew with that. He made a smiley face, and someone tipped him $15, and that's worth screwing around a little more. Yeah.
So how do you dye the pancake batter? Like, how do you get the color without, does it change the flavors? Is it like strawberry batter for red and blueberry batter for blue? Or, I mean, how do you guys do that?
Well, I know that, R&D has definitely put in some time with like natural food colorings, things like that. But, beautiful red beet that you mix into batters can change the batter's consistency, can also look great, cook brown, So the easiest thing to do is to avoid the standard like liquid food coloring, because sometimes to get a really good color, you need a lot, and that much in your batter doesn't really affect the taste too much. Like, food coloring doesn't have flavor to it, but it's definitely going to make it gummier. But what we use is like icing gel food color. So like if you've ever had a blue frosted cupcake, there's just a few drops of the gel.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think it's sucrose based, so maybe your pancake will be a little sweeter.
And there's never anything wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for this guy, anyway.
So, but it doesn't. It's a delicious pancake. My kid eats at least one pancake after every stream. So, my son has already slayed an ancient red dragon. Come at him? Don't though.
So, bringing it back to TTRPGs, coming off the pancakes, because you're probably best known for your pancakes at this point. But let's talk about your TTRPG background. Now, you started getting into TTRPGs about 6 years ago, 6.5 years, almost 7 years ago, as we discussed.
All right, guy, come on. Yes, the wheels of time are turning.
But as you did that, like, what was your first game like? I mean, like, you came out of what you were doing and you started doing TTRPGs.
Yeah, so I was watching just if there was D&D being played on internet and it was on YouTube or something, I just gobbled it up. So, sort of learning by playing, loving the interweaving, telling of stories with your friends, with improvisation and a loose enough set of rules to not fly off the handles, but also sometimes to fly off the handles in a controlled way, or not sometimes. But I had reached out. I reconnected with a friend from the before times, and he was like, "Oh yeah, me and my fiance, we love Critical Role. In fact, we have a D&D game at our house. Do you want to sit out? Do you want to spot?" And so I was just like, "Yeah, freaking absolutely."
Yeah.
And so I was like gonna play my first game, and I was like, okay, I think I went from a Dragonborn paladin to a sorcerer with all kind, wild magic and all that, and I just didn't know what I wanted to be. I character creation sometimes when your aim is to create a character, it's a lot harder than when your aim is to like like take a joke you said or a thing that popped in your head and turn that into a character. But I needed to make a character. So I went on YouTube and I looked up the WebDM has great resources for like, so you want to build a monk, it's like, it talks about the classes, the character types, the ancestries, all that kind of stuff. And like how you could role play them, ideas, like just all these really cool ideas. And so I was like, okay, cool. And I liked Monk because it had some really cool speed-based physical, I like the acrobatics. I love Nightwing, Nightwing over Batman sometimes, just because of the like how cool a choreographed fight can be when you're doing flips and tricks and kicks and flurries of blows. Yep. So I had decided, okay, I'll do a monk. And I was having some fun with it. So I was like, okay, name Ryu Ken Akuma, or from Street Fighter, and I love that game forever. And okay, so it was Ryuken Akuma. And he had a brother named Dan that he very much did not like. But so I made the Way of the Open Paw? I don't know. The super fighty one.
Mm-hmm.
And a stunning strike has gotten our group out of some messes, but it was a lot of fun. I loved it, and we played that game for 2 years, got to level 20, and then started a second campaign. And then I had my son, where I had to go remote for that game before everyone had to go remote for the games. And it's,
so you were ahead of the curve.
Sort of. It's really hard. It's not as hard to play online, I've found, when everyone is. Mm-hmm. But when everyone's in the room and you're on a screen that's not like projected over your seat or anything, it's really easy to feel forgotten. Plus you have to hear like everyone in the room's like, hey, what did Dearmid say?
Yeah.
So it was hard, and I had to kind of walk away from that. And I wish I could play so many more than I do. We got to work at GaryCon once. We actually made it kind of our Pancake's vacation, and we got a Airbnb in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And,
really?
Yeah, and we basically, it was like they let us set up a pancake art table right in the entrance. So I got to meet so many cool people, and basically it was like, you officially are a part of the con, do whatever you'd like. We had badges from it. And so we just kind of made that our vacation. We pancake for a couple of hours and then enjoy the hell out of a con. And so we got to play, I think one was like Seven Seas. Mm-hmm. Got to play superhero one. I just can't remember which one it was. But it wasn't Masks, which I do want to play a lot. But, just dipping into all these different games, like, I don't care what the game is. If you can describe to me as we go how to play it, I'll make a cool character for it and let's have some fun. And then now, just because of everything that's going on and having a toddler, so I've got my day job and I'm home. And when I'm home, if I'm like, hey, I got to be away from the, helping for 3 hours or whatever, it's a really hard thing to juggle. But a really good friend of mine's Polyroller on Twitter, he old school TTRPG player, real loves sci-fi. Mm-hmm. And he called out on Twitter, is like, hey, I'm starting up a group for Alien RPG. Only caveat to if you want to play, and he's like, is at Goldberg 337 is captain, which isn't the case in the game, but basically he made a game for me, and we've been running it on Wednesdays, 2 hours, hard out at 7, and we play every week that we can. He's an animator, so sometimes he's like, okay guys, here's the thing, I've got meetings back to back on Wednesday, and it's like, okay, well, there's literally xenomorph acid blood poured on the face of our NPC. Let's find out he died, by the way. Apparently, if you shoot an alien and in character don't know that their blood is acid right over top one of your NPCs.
Ooh. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Volker. We'll miss you forever. So yeah, it's the most fun.
It sounds like you're having a great time just enjoying what is, tabletop role-playing games for all they're worth. If you were a real person in a Dungeons and Dragons world, what would your alignment, background, and class be?
God, that I would have said chaotic good before, but ever since when I try to create characters, ever since I had Miles, it's always like I want to be soft, gentle, warm, and kind. Like I don't want tragic in my backstory. Like if he needs to swing a sword, they sure can, but I don't want the sadness. So it'd probably be lawful to neutral, somewhere in that spectrum, good. And I'd be Warlock, Pact of the Griddle.
Pact of the Griddle.
And here's the thing, with the amount of times that you burn yourself, you would think your patron would give you fire resistance, and they don't.
No.
I have just so many burns on my floating arm.
What would your background be if you're a warlock, patron of the griddle, Pact of the Griddle, and your alignment, was already discussed? What would your background be? Would it be chef? Would it be
chef, entertainer? Probably at this point. Chef retainer. Okay. Toss a coin to your griddle. Oh, Valley o' Plenty. So where next? I mean, like you're enjoying TTRPGs, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you're on Idle Champions, making griddles. Most people know your right arm pretty well. They know my tattoo better than
they know your tattoo, but you're enjoying this. What do you want to do next?
Find that perfect balance. It doesn't exist. I mean, my kid is so young that and we live in a small apartment, so it's like it's a big ask anytime I want to play games. So it's sort of like having to find a way to justify my time and things like that is a challenge. As he gets older, it will hopefully be a little easier.
It will.
But I just play more games and hopefully stream some games, play as guests, do some charity things, kind of just be known for more than just my pancake art. Like if my name comes up, have it not be who? Oh, the guy that makes pancakes. Yeah. Not that I need like all the credibility and things like that, but I really enjoy so much within our community, and I want to roll dice with so many of you.
Well, I can tell you that we're certainly going to be talking to you about some upcoming projects, short-term stuff, and some long-term stuff. We think you're amazing, and
I mean more, but stop.
We think that your best friend Sean is also amazing, and we love him in chat, and also so many other great people like Robo Goblin 01, who is also a good friend of yours too. Have been wonderful in chat, by the way. What's the challenge for you when you're playing TTRPGs at this point? Like, what's been your favorite moment and your favorite challenge?
I mean, the challenge is getting to a table. I mean, it's everybody's challenge as well, though it's somehow easier now than ever to just play with people, because you're not, online play with people is just so much more of a like, hey, it's what we do. But my favorite thing is just creating the character on a whim that once you use them, becomes your whole world in that moment. I have an int-based fighters, and it's all because of an argument that Forever Best Friend Sean and I had, where I said, like, here's a thing that I think is silly. Combat, you can have strength or dexterity as your damage modifier and your to hit modifier. But I mean, shoot, Sherlock Holmes, if it taught you anything, I think intelligence, if you make an intelligent fighter build, should be able to have the same thing. Because hitting you faster isn't the only way. If I hit you correctly, if I'm punching at you, but I know that I can hit like you're like right in your arm, like in your I'm not my intellect fighter, so I don't know the best spot to do it. But I can do more damage at pressure points if I'm being smart about how I'm hitting you. And so this big argument we had, and then that's how I made Watt 221B, which is my Warforged Sherlock Holmesian fighter. And one of the other streamers from CNE's cadre at this point of streams that we've got, Mars, Storyteller Mars on Twitter and other venues, he ran a game for a couple of us, and we had so much fun. And one of our players, Trevor, is like, should we stream it? And so we just streamed it, and we had more people watch it than we ever anticipated, and really loved it. And then on a big like CNE day of streaming, they reached out to us and like, hey, do you guys want to stream another one shot of your group to finish off our day of streaming? And so we got Watt 221B got to be the smart fighter one more time, and hopefully we will get to bring. I don't know. We don't have a team name yet. We're working on it, but hopefully we'll get to bring them back. And Watt 221B, even though when he gets the final kill, like the how do you want to end this fight? It's always funny because like everyone's like, here's my epic, like I'm gonna cut him across his chest and open it up and then rip his heart. My guy's like, efficiently, just one quick fatal hit, because he's not there for glory. He's here to like, you're in my way. You're a puzzle. This is the solution. Now you're gone.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Do you role play out your moves as you roll your dice? Do you say kind of like I do this? And this? Yeah,
I do. It's fun. It's fun. In my home game that I played, others got more into doing that. But when you've got a martial artist, it's not like I punch, I punch, I punch. I'm like, all right, so I wheel around with a kick. It's like it misses. Okay, then I keep the spin going and come up with an up. I love doing it, especially if I'm a mage or like I had a druid that I made based on like, I want to make a druid who doesn't want to be a druid, who doesn't really care about animals or nature, but they were bestowed the powers. And so David, the gnome, was created, and it was the new wildfire circle. So you're, instead of beast shaping, you can have like I don't know, an entity that you create, like a small creature. And so, and it can look like anything. So I made a gnome so that mine can look like me if I stood up a little straighter, had a little more confidence. And so it was that he was this prophesied druid hero. And so one day he went from, I'm a gnome that just tries to survive in this forest, to I'm a level 6 druid, but you can cast through this entity at that level. So I got to, like, when I was doing my spells and things, I would either mistakenly cast the spell, like not do it on purpose, but like crouch down and then go like that, and a fire orb comes out. Or I don't know what to do, so this entity is trying to get me to become the best me I can be. They throw the spell out. Or I had one time where I was like, okay, I got this. This is going to be great. And then I did like a level 3 or 4 Scorching Ray. And I was like, Scorching Ray! But only one beam came out. So well, but then my spirit totem or whatever, he went and threw the other 3 out.
Ah, so the spirit totem does the heavy lifting. That's the secret.
In the beginning, and that's the thing, is I'd love to be able to develop that character to become who they're meant to be, or reject it. Who knows how the story goes? But yeah, like they have all this power that they just got and don't really want. And so I love a good disadvantage. I love a good bad stat. The only time I've ever fudged a roll in game was because I made the save to not get like a madness that a character, by being close to them, you had some sort of like, I think I would vapor lock and stuff. And I wanted that. I wanted to have an obstacle to play around with. So I was like, I think I just didn't add the aura from the paladin that we had. I just didn't add that on purpose because it would have made me succeed.
Okay. That's actually pretty cool that you accepted that role play opportunity as a great opportunity as well. So we're just, shifting gears as we kind of wind down here a little bit. Where can people find you on social media? I know we have your at Goldberg 337, which is Lee in numeric terms backwards, which I think is entertaining.
Hey, yeah, it's 337's always been. My brother was an amazing artist, and he, we always joked around about Agent 337. We made like a birthday video for my dad for the gift we got him, because we thought he'd love a jump drive for a present, and I knew he wouldn't, so I made a video to go along with it. Yeah, so Goldberg 337 across everything except for Twitch, because who knows why I didn't do it. And I don't know how to change it. So I'm Pancake 337 on Twitch. I was in your chat a little earlier. And it's just really funny to be like in a chat and be like, hey, oh, it's Lee. Oh, like, I mean, I'm sure Goldberg 337 is not on the tip of your tongue, but Pancakes is in my name. I'm the Pancakes guy. But I want to change it. So it's just Goldberg 337, Twitch, Instagram.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And more importantly, so people can find you. And your show, Griddle Champions, is on what day and at what time on what show?
It is, Griddle Champions is Fridays from 10 to 12 Pacific time, and that is on twitch.tv/Sanny Games. And we are Pancake Art. A lot of the shows that are on the network are very the game driven, like the game's on in the background, and all of our content is in-game content, but we're early morning, we're your brunch time fun times, and we goof around, and I paint with goop. So if you're gonna have to take it seriously and like, you don't have to. So we joke around, we talk about anime and all kinds of other games and things like that. We just have fun and make really fun pancakes.
All right.
Join us.
Right. So check him out at Griddle Champions. Guys, thank you so much in chat. And Lee, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's just been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see you again. And hopefully you'll come back on the show some other time soon, and we'll talk some other things that you're doing. I get excited. So thank you very much. And is there anything you want to say on the way out?
Something crude to Sean. I don't know. No, I don't have anything. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. I love talking about pancakes, TTRPGs, and I'm an open book, so I'm never like, ooh.
We're going to invite Sean onto the show, but we're only going to show his right arm the whole time we're interviewing him, so he can really enjoy what that is, just like you have.
Know what it's like, Sean. Who actually tried to make his for Valentine's Day. He and his partner made pancake art for the first time.
Oh, really?
And she was much better than him.
Oh, really?
But he had fun, and that's the thing, is it is so much fun being had because it's you're eating what you make.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week on the Games Tavern Happy Hour. every Tuesday, or excuse me, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the news, reviews, and interviews with those in the tabletop space. See you next week.
Bye.